So KG, who pays for closing costs? If I'm buying a house or selling a house, you pay. If you're a buyer or you're a seller, you pay. I'm going to discuss that in a minute. Hey there, this is KG. I'm a realtor with Fairfax Realty in Greenbelt, Maryland, where we help buyers buy their dream home, sellers sell their houses for maximum amount of price. And we do this in the DMV area, that means District of Columbia, Maryland, DC, and Virginia. We help buyers buy their houses and sellers sell their houses from Baltimore to Bowie to Silver Spring and everywhere in between. To Arlington, we do this every day, buyers buying and sellers. So listen, if you're looking to buy, move from Maryland, DC, or Virginia, or move away from Maryland, DC, or Virginia, contact us and we'll take care of you. All right, we also upload video on different market updates in our area and answer different questions about home buying and home selling. So please subscribe to the channel below so that you get notification once we upload a new video. So the question today is, who pays for the closing costs? All right, I'm going to discuss who pays for the closing costs for buyers and sellers. So what is closing costs? Closing costs are costs associated with you buying a house as a buyer. So this is quite different from your down payment. So whatever the down payment of your loan is, if it's 3%, 5%, 20%, whatever it is, closing cost is different from that cost that we're talking about. Closing cost is a one-time cost that you pay when you buy the house. So some of the closing costs are the lender charges. Actually, your lender should discuss with you once they do the pre-approval and give you an estimate sheet. So let's go through it. The lender charges. Lenders will charge you for processing fee. This is, they may charge you for points. They may charge you for underwriting fees. It depends on each lender. All right, they will charge you also for pulling your credit, because the third party that pulls the credit. They will charge you for flood certification to make sure your property is not in a flood zone. They have to certify that. They will charge you for tax fees to pull your taxes from IRS, to make sure your tax that you provided and the tax that you filed with IRS are the same thing. These are some of the charges that is part of the lender charges, and some of these charges are from third party, so there's really nothing you can do about it. If you want to buy a house, these are charges that you have to pay. But the other closing costs are what we call the title charges. Title charges, title company will look at the title, review the title to make sure it's a clean title. Of course, they're going to charge you for this. You have abstract charges to pull the title. The biggest thing on the title charges is actually the title insurance. So if you're buying a house and you're not if you're buying a house, you get to buy title insurance, one for the title, one for you as a buyer, and one for the lender. If you are paying cash, you only pay title insurance for yourself. But whenever you're getting a loan, you have to get title insurance for the lender, and then you get for yourself. It's optional to get for yourself, but it's not something I would advise you not to get. You always want to get a title insurance, Then the title company will also charge you to review all the documents to make sure everything is in good order. The next charges for closing costs is taxes. There's nothing you can do about that. Taxes, we pay transfer taxes when you're buying a house. So you pay taxes, you pay your own portion of taxes depending on how the contract is written. Sometimes you pay all the taxes, or you just pay 50% of it. It depends on how the contract is written, but those are charges for the title, for the taxes. The other charges that is part of the closing cost is your hazard insurance. The lender would like to collect 1 year homeowners insurance up front, because when you're buying the house, so you have to pay that charge up front. So these are the major items on the closing costs that buyers have to pay for. And we have a rule of thumb right now that for closing costs, it's estimated that it can run between 3 to 4% of the sales price. So your down payment and the closing costs. So if you're putting 3% down, you also need to budget for another 3% for down payment, for closing costs. So there's some situation where we can get sellers to pay part of the closing costs, but the closing cost is actually the buyer's responsibility. So it's always good to have that money, budget for it, so you don't depend on seller paying it, because if the seller doesn't pay, then you have to look for that money. So closing costs are charges that you pay as a buyer when you're buying a house, right? For sellers also have closing costs. Seller closing costs includes the title charges. The title company is going to charge you for reviewing the document, for getting your loan payoff if you have loan on the house, for wiring the fund to pay off your loan, to make sure everything is recorded off your name. They're going to charge you for those services. The other thing with the title, not the title, the closing costs is the taxes. As a seller, depending on how the contract is written, if you're paying part of the transfer and recordation charge, you pay your own portion too. Many times it's 50-50, depending on how the contract is written, but you pay your own part of the taxes as well. The other closing cost for seller is if you're paying part of this buyer's closing costs, it may be 3%, maybe 1%, depending on what this contract is agreed upon, is part of your closing costs. And also the cost to sell the house, your agent, depending on what you agree with your agent to sell the house, they will you will be charged the commission. So the rule of thumb for sellers is, we always say, we look at it that if you're paying this part of this buyer's closing costs and all the other costs associated with selling, sellers closing costs can run between 8 to 9% of the sales price. 8 to 9% of the sales price. If you're not paying any buyer's commission, it will be less than that. Any buyer's closing costs, it will be less than that. But the rule of thumb is it will run between 8 to 9% of the sales price. So that is the closing costs associated with selling and buying. So there are some costs that you can negotiate. For buyers, there are some costs you can negotiate. You cannot negotiate taxes. Nobody negotiates taxes, right? You cannot negotiate what they're going to transfer and recordation tax. That is not negotiable. You can negotiate part of the title charges, depending, and then you can negotiate part of the closing, part of the lender's fee, depending. But like I said, there are some fees that you cannot negotiate. The fees that is a third-party fees, you cannot negotiate on your credit report or loss or flood certification or tax services. Those fees are set not by the lender, by the people providing the services, and you have to pay unless you don't want to buy the house. All right. For sellers, you can negotiate on the amounts that you pay the buyer's closing costs. You negotiate can be 1, 2, 3%, whatever the negotiation is. You can negotiate with your agent how much you pay on the commission. So whatever the amount is agreed upon. But like I said, those are the ones that are negotiable. The taxes are non-negotiable. All right. Until next time when I discuss another question about real estate. So remember, if you're looking to buy, sell, contact me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel below. Ciao.